Okay, so it is recording now. So you mentioned the GDPR notice, just to make sure everyone's on board. And let me just say that my cat's on board. So I have my cat here, and she's actually on board with being recorded. She's used to this already. She goes global all the time, so this is normal for her. Anyway, welcome everyone joining us today, but also everyone joining us online later on when this is recorded. It's really a big pleasure to be here. I don't get to speak that much for Germany. Actually, the last time I was there was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but then again, last year was a big black hole, so no one can remember anything that happened last year. I think this is the biggest problem of all. But the biggest problem, even bigger than that, is that there is no food. We were just discussing not being in person in all of these events. I kind of missed this. I know that this is a global Azure Bootcamp, and global can mean online, but still not being there in person to actually talk to everyone is not a good thing, because we always want interaction and things like that. So for here, I will suggest that if anyone has any questions, feel free to use the chats. My cat will actually monitor the session and make sure that if there's any questions, she will meow. So I'll have to do, I'll get rid of her for a bit. She will come back. If I try to do an Azure demo, she usually comes back. But, but in any case, the session has indeed already started. So this is the correct time. So let's get started with this and talk about things like cognitive services. What are these crazy things? So anyway, this is my cat. So this, I've actually started this kind of as a joke, but then I started to use these slides for my cat. This is also the name of my company, but I never use my company's name. I just use my cats. This is much more fun. So anyway, the last few times that my cats helped me out, I actually presented some of these crazy sessions. I do have some of these sessions online, so if you'd like to see them, please go ahead. I would recommend that besides the session for cognitive services, if you'd like to watch the machine learning session, I think that would be also interesting related to this topic. And also my cat plays a big role in the SQL curiosity session, and no cat is actually being harmed during this session, let me just say. Anyway, this session is about flying cars, or jumping cars if you prefer. And there was actually a guy from the 80s. You probably heard of this. For some reason, there is a reputation that in Germany, people like David Hasselhoff a lot. I'm not sure. I think he jumped on top of some, I don't know, some wall and started to sing. I don't know, something happened like that. And I don't know. I'm not sure if this is true. No, I'm kidding. I've seen the video. But anyway, this was a series from the 80s that's when I was a kid, I actually watched this a lot, and everyone thought, oh, I need to have a car like this that jumps around the place every single time and catches bad guys and things like that. But, you know, this kind of thing. Anyway, let's actually do something useful and not talk about this kind of thing. But anyway, this is the theme of the session. Anyway, we are hosting this for Global Azure in Ludinghausen. Hopefully I pronounced this correctly.
Yeah, it was great.
But anyway, this is actually going global to a lot of places around the world. So thank you everyone for having me. This is really great. In other places, this is going around today and tomorrow as well. I think yesterday also, but much less countries actually have this yesterday. So anyway, let's talk about something terrible, and this would be me. So as you know, we all have to be at home for the last year or something. And one of the things I usually say is that I now have a bit of hair, but before I actually had a haircut using this. So Frank, you also use the same technique, but you use the extreme level.
I use it for 10 years now, at least.
the extreme level. Okay, anyway, so my contacts are here. Just go to andy.pt. It's like a temporary website. I'm still preparing the new one, but maybe in 10 years that will be ready as well. In any case, let's talk about cognitive services. So the first thing you need to know is, what are cognitive services? Well, these are web services, in most cases, web services that you can connect to and send some information like an image, like audio, even video if you want to, and you receive back information. And that information is mostly in JSON formats. Now, what you do with this is that you don't have to do actual machine learning. Machine learning will require you to do some training, and then create something to do the predictions, like a web service or something like that. This is all done for you. All you have to do is to consume it. So you go there, you send an image, you get something back like information about the image. So things like the face information, or if this is a scenery, the scenery information. This is actually very, very easy to do. Now, how do you do this? Well, first of all, you can apply this to any kind of device that you want. So I have some examples of, this little IoT dog, if you want to call it like that, but also things like goggles, things like talking cars. So we mentioned cars before, and also normal computers, websites, mobile applications, things like that. For instance, if you have a Raspberry Pi, IoT things are something that you can use with Azure IoT, and this is very easy to use. You can use something called Azure IoT Edge and actually put some modules in the Azure IoT Edge device that use cognitive services, and also Azure machine learning if you want to as well. But cognitive services such as language understanding, or even things like custom vision would be a great thing to add to one of these here. But we'll have a look at some of these specifically. But just remember that some of these can go into your cell phone. So if you want to create an app, you can use them on a cell phone. Some of these also go into an IoT device. So it's very easy to use. Now, how do you work with this? So first of all, let's say you have a cell phone. To access the web service, you will actually need a key. This is a big code, like something like 30 characters or something like that. And to access that, it's not a good idea for you to create a program and put the program into your application. That would just be a terrible idea because you can hack it. So the way to do it is to have something in the middle. Now, to do that, you can create a server. Let's say you create a server in Azure. You can do it on premises, but that's not very interesting. And that server will serve as a proxy. Okay, so what you actually do is you have the clouds in Azure. Okay, if you ask me why the bats are there, that just means that the first time I presented this, I was actually in Transylvania when I prepared the session. It feels appropriate. Don't ask. But then again, I have a lot of cats in other sessions, so bats would be a nice thing to do here. Plus, the car is also black, so it makes sense. Anyway. What actually happens is that you ask things to that server, and this can be a normal server like a web service, a web server as well, or you can use API management from Azure or anything else that you want to use as a proxy. Anything is okay. It's your decision. It's your protocol. This can be HTTP protocol or some proprietary crazy way to do this. It's entirely up to you. But then what you do is you receive the requests. Let's say you receive an image. Let's say I have a face, kind of an ugly one, but I have a face. And then with that face, you can actually send that face to cognitive services. So that means that the server will send it in some way. But this part now here is standard. So you go to something.cognitive.com or something like that. We'll see some examples of that. And then it will send it over to cognitive services so that those cognitive services will be processed. You send to that specific address, you send the actual image plus a code to give you permissions to access the web services and specifically your account. So you are going to be billed. I don't want to mention prices a lot because these aren't very interesting in cognitive services. But let's say for a face recognition, it's something like 1,000 faces cost like €1 or €2. possibly even less. So it's not really relevant. It's like 1,000. So it's not really relevant. It's a very small price. But of course, if you are using this a million times, that can have a cost like 1,000,000 times per month. That will be like 1,000 euros. That can be something slightly different. But depends. If you have a business where you run faces 1,000,000 times per month, maybe you get paid a lot. So it doesn't really matter. So it's proportional, right? So it doesn't really matter. But anyway, most of these services are very cheap, and you also have free tiers, so it doesn't really matter in the end. Now, when you send this to Azure, Azure Cognitive Services will process the thing. Some magic will happen, things will be processed, and then you come back with the information up to your proxy server or broker server, and that information is, in most cases, JSON formats. All you have to do is to take that JSON format that exists in whatever definition Microsoft has. This will be different for each different type of cognitive service, of course. And for that, you can process the information so that you can show the information, let's say, to a cell phone, or if it is a cell phone, you typically send it over almost as a raw format back to the cell phone. But if it is a web page, in that case, it's like the green server that does the processing, so that the page will receive things in a graphical, more kind of a graphical way, more of a processed way, in a presentation format. So it depends. So anyway, you process it any way you want, process more or less. Let's say if you just want to confirm that the person is really the person that claims they are, so to compare maybe two images, from one you have on file, from one that the person is taking right now. If it is okay, all the information you need to return is a yes or no. So that's simple, but it depends. So it depends on the cognitive service. Anyway, let's have a look, because I just want to make quick demos. This is the only slides I really have there, plus some funny slides. And you probably remember this is the most famous button from the 80s. All you have to do is to click this and you jump to the clouds, right? This was the thing to do. By the way, there is still this series going on. So in a channel from our Portuguese television, the public television, there is still a memories channel that we have that still has this. And if you go to more recent channels, no idea what those are, you have a more recent version of this Knight Rider with some recent things. It's not as funny, right? It's not as funny. Yeah, jumping car. Yeah, what's new? Nothing new about that. Anyway, let's let's have a look at some of that. So this was the blueprint for the car at the time. This was a nice car. You might actually buy one. So the last time I did this session, Armando Lacerda actually posted the link for selling a car like this, so you can. Okay, no comments there, but probably most buttons will not work. Anyway, how do you get started with this? First of all, you need an Azure account. We are in Global Azure Bootcamp, so you need an Azure account. If for some reason you don't have an account from your company, or even from your university, which you can, okay, which is interesting, all you have to do is to go here to azure.com and then try Azure for free. This is easy enough, right? So what all you have to do is click the green button again and then fill in some personal information. All that information will be sent to the NSA via cloud. Very efficient. No, I'm kidding. Microsoft is actually very picky about all of the private information. Microsoft is not Google, okay? But anyway, for 12 months, you actually have a lot of free services that you can use. During the first 3 months, the first 30 days, you actually have some credits. This is the credits in euros. This is how we do it in the European Union. If you are outside of this, or if you have different currency, in that case, it will be the equivalent value, something like that. But there are some other services which, even after those initial 12 months, will continue to be free, and some of them, actually a lot of them, are cognitive services. This is important to know. You actually have a free tier for many of these. Well, this is not going to be a lot per month. This will give you access to try, like, I don't know, 1,000 faces per month. I'm not sure what the exact number is now. Doesn't really matter, but it's more than enough for you to play around with things, for you to develop applications. And when you go into production, you haven't spent one single euro on all of this. And then in production, you actually spend money and Microsoft thanks you, right? Anyway, some free stuff. So SQL databases up to 250 gigabytes, some blob storage, etc. And somewhere down here, you can do 1 million Azure functions per month. That will be the equivalent of something like 30,000 per day. And then that will be something like more than 1,000 per hour. Come on. You can use this. You can try to reach that limit. Just do a for loop, and you can try to reach that limit. Anyway, some more tools, and some of them will actually include cognitive services. We'll see about that. But then let's jump into something called portal.azure.com, which is what you get when you have an Azure account. And by the way, as I mentioned, you can have a free account by using the the free tier, so the free green button. You can also use it if you have a university email account. So just go there, go to portal.azure.com, go to subscriptions. So you can search for subscriptions here on top. And then somewhere just click ads, and there's going to be a place that says student subscription, something like that. So you can add it, use your own university account, and this will actually work. This is fun enough. If you have a Visual Studio subscription, if you use, or MSDN as the name was before, you can also use it for free. Anyway, this is my very small Azure portal. As you can tell, this guy also has a cat, but that's okay. And I have a few things like a bot, so we'll see the bot in a bit. But I also have some cognitive services going on here, but we'll see what happens with this just in a bit. So let's go back to this. And first of all, I'm going to demo most things without even needing an Azure account. This is easy enough. Just go to products, AI, machine learning, cognitive services. Oh, yeah, all good? Okay. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I am here to answer any of those questions at any time. Okay, so I will be monitoring the chats from time to time, and I will be happy to answer any questions from you. So anyway, cognitive services, let me just copy paste this into the chat if you'd like to try this yourself. Okay, and let's have a look at vision first. So first of all, you have faces, and obviously I have a very nice face that everyone hates. It's ugly as hell, but that's okay. But this person here has clearly a much better face than me. So what you get here, yes, you are detecting the face in this rectangle, so that's fine. Is this any good? No, this is terrible. But detection model number 2 is actually very precise to actually find a lot of different faces. So let's have a look at browse. And you've probably seen some of these people around in some conferences. So this was in Lviv in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And you have people like Jan, me, Katalin, you have Nick, a lot of people from the community here. And currently, the reason I show you this is that detection model 2 actually detects Jan, right? However, if I use detection model number 1, he will not be detected. Wait a minute, I probably need to upload. Oh no, I know. Okay, this is there already. I didn't need to upload the image again, so Jan doesn't get detected. However, you get much more detail into the things that are actually detected. So let's have a look. So for the first face ID, and you're going to have 5 according to the lists. For the first face ID, you have hair bald is equal to 0.05. Okay, it's not a lot, so it's a reasonable value, but invisible is equal to false. I'm not really sure how you get to be invisible. That's something that I was always curious about. But anyway, hair color is equal to brown. So actually, all of them are equal to brown, but that's okay. So head pose, what's head pose? It's the position of the face, up, down, left, right, turning, something like that. So this is the three-dimensional way to have the face. This might be useful. So let's say that you have a cell phone, like when you go to Microsoft certifications and you have to take an exam, they will request that you take a photo with your phone, and then they will validate your photo. If your photo is looking left or looking right, it might still be comparable to another photo that you have, but they specifically ask that your face looks forward. So if there's a value much more than left or right or something like that, they will say you have to take the photo again. So these parameters are going to be the ones you need. Now you have pitch, roll, and yaw. I have no idea what these things mean, okay? So just take a photo in front, one to the left, one to the right, and you'll see which value is which. I have no idea. Okay, because this is an English way of saying things. I'm Portuguese. Probably even in Portuguese, I wouldn't even know, but that's okay. But as any developer does this, we try it first. So that's the easiest way to handle this. Anyway, gender male, age 44. So who do we have that has age 44? It's not me, by the way. When this photo was taken, I was about like 40 years old, something like that. So clearly, this is completely wrong for me. But for anyone else, like Catalin's like 55 now. So also terrible. He looks much younger. This is strange. Crazy guy. Anyway, I think that this is either Catalin or Nick. I'm not sure which one, but because no glasses, Catalin doesn't have glasses here. I'm not sure which one is which. But anyway, everyone is happy. This is important to mention. Most things are okay. Face landmarks, also important. So let's say you only have one face. Face landmarks, you actually have the eyes, you have the nose, you have the mouth, etc. So you have all of the landmarks going around. So if you want to control each thing individually, that's fine. If you want to scare people in your company, just set up a webcam going in, detect all of the faces and put rectangles around each part of the face, and that will scare the hell out of everyone that goes into the room. Just put a screen showing those faces. That will scare everyone. Trust me, this is fun. I tried it. Anyway, this is the first person with 44 years old. Second person with the second face ID will be, again, 44 years old. Not sure which one is which. Okay, and then third person, I just want to have a third person in the room. So that will have, let's see, so happiness a bit, but a bit neutral as well. Not sure which one is this, but male 39. Okay, so here we have it. Okay, but there's more. There's obviously more. Anyway, just to give you one or two more examples. So let's see, who do I have? Oh, I have a really nice guy. He's called Trump. You probably heard of him. He's a really nice guy. He also goes to conferences. No, I'm kidding. No one wants him there. Anyway, so Trump has a blonde hair. It's obviously fake, but he has blonde hair. But the computer is not full, so the computer also says gray at 99%. So curious enough. But then again, male 59. Why is he 59? Because he's actually something like 70. Probably because he has a lot of makeup, facial things like pulling, and I don't know, something like that. But anyway, the important part is anger is equal to 100%. This is his normal state. This is normal. Anyway, I've tried with cats. If you want to try with cats, like my cat is actually mentioning to try with cats, cats don't work, okay? But we will try cats a bit later on. That's okay. Anyway, let's go to face verification. And in face verification, yes, there is a guy in the same day using the same shirts. Yeah, that's a great comparison, isn't it? No, let's not do that. I know it says 93% down there, but let's not do that. Let's try Borat's, which is 85%, oh, 8% with this guy. So that's not good. And let's try the fake Borat's. So the comparison will be only 33%. So that's not good. Yeah. So clearly this is not the same guy. But now let's compare Borat with Angry Trump. And compare left to right or right to left. This is the same thing. Okay. So Angry Trump and Borat actually have 9%. So this makes sense. But now let's compare Angry Trump with Happy Trump. And now we have a bigger number, 83%. Now this is the same guy. different events, I'm assuming, okay, but you can tell that the guy always uses the same clothes. This is strange. This is something's wrong with this, but it's actually always the same shirts, always the same guy, which makes it strange. But now let's compare Happy Trump with fake Trump. So this is a fake Trump, a lookalike Trump that you actually get from, some TV series in the United States. This looks a lot the same. The clothes are the same, but let me just mention this: for cognitive services, the clothes are irrelevant. Okay, the hair is irrelevant. You can actually shave all of your hair; makes no difference whatsoever, because they focus on the face landmarks, the way that the way the nose is done, the way that the face smiles and things like that. This is the focus, okay? Nothing else. So what actually happens is that comparing these two, you actually get 55. These are professional people actually doing makeup on this guy, choosing the right guy, etc. And then the guy, I've actually heard this guy speak. He's quite good for a Trump lookalike. He's actually quite good, but it doesn't get past 55. Okay, this is the best you're going to get for a fake one. Okay, but if you want to have some confidence into this, that it is actually the same person, I will go to 75 or 80%. But that will depend on the lighting. So let's say that you are in a door, people are going in. Okay, so if you want to compare these people, the best way to compare your staff with someone else is to actually take a photo in the exact same place with the exact same lighting, etc., so that the comparison will be as perfect as possible. Okay, it's not so much for the lighting and things like that. It's actually for the position of the face compared to the camera. Okay, but in any case, I would trust this starting at 75%, 80% depends on the place. But remember, this is no substitute for different other things, okay? You probably heard of a TV series called Mythbusters. This has ended a few years ago, but they actually did something a few years ago, which was the Mythbusters for fingerprints and other things. And in most cases, it was very easily hacked, okay? There was a MacGyver episode where they used like chalk to simulate the fingerprints. That actually works, okay? So don't trust face recognition, don't trust fingerprint recognition, don't trust sound recognition individually to identify the person. Always request something else, okay? You can complement all of that with face recognition and all that, that's okay. But if I put up a photo of something like this in front of my face, that might actually work, okay? Current cell phones actually have like one of those 3D cameras where they actually put some infrared things into you to actually detect depth. And this is actually very important to detect faces. Here, because you have a 2D photo, this is always fakeable, okay? So please be careful. Anyway, this is for face verification. You can actually verify, let's say if you have thousands of people in your organization, you can actually have a list of all of these people. You can upload the images there. You actually have something called the Face ID that you saw before. You can actually store that Face ID for a certain amount of time in the cloud. So when you are comparing this, you don't have to upload all of the images all of the time. You can define how long that image stays online. Something like 24 hours is default, but you can, I think you can change that. I can't remember what the maximum is, but you can have it uploaded, so that's also very fine. Anyway, let's have a look at the different ones. So this was face. Let's have a look at computer vision. And I did promise cats, so let's try with a cat. But before that, let's see the default one, which is a subway station or a train station, I don't know. And here you have a land vehicle, which is parent is going to be a vehicle, and that one has a certain confidence. Now I'm seeing this in a bulk block. That's a very weird way of seeing things. But if you were seeing this in, really nice indented JSON, this would make a bit more sense. But in any case, you have a person here on the left. You have a train here as well, and the confidence level will be 90% for most of these that get detected, so that's fine. Okay, so again, train for tags. And by the way, you can have a whole bunch of pictures, and then they will detect tags like going to the beach. So you have beach, you have river, you have lake, you have those kind of things. By the way, anything water might be confusing. Okay, so be careful. You might have things like lake, ocean, river, but these might be the same thing for cognitive services. Those are a bit more difficult to detect. Okay, but still, this will give you a good idea what these things are. Anyway, people waiting at the train station, this is what gets generated. And if you are using things like PowerPoint, when you upload an image to PowerPoint or I don't know, Word, maybe something like that. I don't use Word that much, but let's say if you upload an image to PowerPoint, if you right click and check out the alt description, which is for accessibility, you can actually generate a text that looks like this based on the image. So this is automatic. Microsoft uses cognitive services for free for you to use in Office 365, okay, or in general Office like PowerPoint and things like that. So I actually have a cat. So my cat is actually requesting for me to upload. Let's go to browse. For me to upload a cat. So I'm uploading the cat to the camera. Okay, so this is my cat. So this is probably one of the most famous cats in all of these conferences, because in the last year, my cat insisted on being on every single session. But okay, yes, you can stay here. Yes, you can stay here, no problem. Okay, so this is a very Azure cat. So every time I do an Azure demo, she insists on being here. So I'm just going to do a Dr. Evil kind of thing and pet my cats from here in front of the computer. No worries. But anyway, this is a cat. I'm not sure if this is real or fake, but probably real. I'm not sure. But then you have a mammal here. You have a cat. You have, again, an animal. So this is hierarchical, generically animal. And then you have sitting, yes. Cat is sitting or maybe sleeping, something like that. Or, lying in bed. Kitty, so it's actually a very small cat, and then a close-up of a cat. This seems okay. Let's try with different photos. I don't want to discriminate dogs, so let's try dogs as well. And you have dogs, also a mammal, but then when you go here, a close-up of a dog. So yeah, it's very original in terms of text, but at least it is accurate, okay? Anyway, let's choose a different one. So if you were in Portugal, you'll probably get to see something like, so where is the thing? Wait a minute. This should be in Torre de Belém. This is the Belém Tower. It's actually close to Lisbon, okay? It used to be a fortress to defend the city and things like that. It also used to be a prison from time to time. And now it just imprisons tourists that have to pay to actually go there. But anyway, it says tower, blah, blah, blah. Lake, it's actually technically not quite a lake. It's actually walled. It should be the river, but it's actually walled. So technically it is a lake, but cognitive services have no way of knowing this. But anyway, a large building with Belém Tower in the background. It's not exactly the text you expect, but they at least detected the Belém Tower. Anyway, I mentioned Mythbusters just before. You have something which is the Bucharest Parliament. This is the biggest non-military building. The Pentagon is the biggest military building in the world. If you go to the Boeing factories near Seattle, those are the biggest industrial building in the world. And this is the biggest non-industrial, non-military building in the world. Or if you want to call it the biggest bureaucratic building in the world, which is the Bucharest Parliament. Okay. And I was mentioning Mythbusters before, and they actually had a car running from one side to the other, going over 100 kilometers per hour. In the halls inside of that building. So this was quite fun. And you actually have Palace of the Parliament and backgrounds. So this is the actual name for the thing. So they actually detect it. Now, before I do this, so choose operation. So instead of analyzing the image, I actually want to read texts. So let's go to browse. And here in browse, I actually have a license plate for Portugal. And this is easy. So by the way, remember this shows you from top to bottom, okay? So you have 4 for the year, 6 for the month, and then you have 45, 72, XQ. By the way, I took this from Wikipedia. I didn't steal this license plate, okay? Anyway, P for Portugal, somewhere here. And this one, as I usually have to show, This says OBV. This is wrong. But then again, if you are a human, you might be confused as well. So this is DGV. You might still be confused. The rest is okay, but this is typical because the letters are actually quite small. So this would be maybe half a centimeter, just a few millimeters in size. So to actually detect all of the rest is still very good. But this one, trust me, this is okay. First time I saw it, I also found it strange. I thought this was the, okay, so wait a minute, okay. I also found that strange. Anyway, just one more to actually show this. So let's say you have Borat, okay? And Borat will actually be, actually, I want to show you one more. Yeah, you cannot read text. This is normal. So recognize celebrity. So I have to do this again because this is just strange wizards. Okay, so give me a second. Okay. Okay, so let's try one first, a different one first, and then we'll come back. So okay, wait a minute. Let me just try this one first. So this one has, because I have to remove the other one and then come back, a group of people sitting at a table using one laptop. So yes, you can even detect the laptop. So there's like a thing for the laptop. So this is easy. You can detect the people, but the people are not very good, okay? So anyway, I also wanted to analyze an image, and we'll come back to Borat just to be different, okay? I also wanted to analyze an image, which is the vampire, okay? And the vampire, so Fang, you know, the fangs, this is okay. Cartoon, not that much. Mask, well, sometimes. But then the face of a dog, this is not true. Okay, so this skull would be okay. Yeah, skull horror would be okay. But when you go here, you can actually detect adult contents, adult score, gory content. So this is gory, yes. It's scary, so gory meaning scary. Racy, that just means it affects sensitivity of people. Okay, so because this affects sensitivity of people, if I want to test adult contents, what I actually do is I go to Playboy. No, I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. I'm not going to do that. I use art. So this is a Rembrandt. This is a famous painting. The person is indeed nude, but still a man holding a dog. Yeah, that's strange. But anyway, adult content is equal to true. This is the part that I actually wanted to show you. So this is actually true. Anyway, let's go back to that celebrity that I wanted to use. So again, going to Borat, so it doesn't have that name now. And then dressed, etc., suits. And then Sacha Baron Cohen wearing a suit and tie, smiling at the camera. This is entirely correct because this is actually the actor's name. Borat is just a character. So final one, just to make sure that this is correct. Same character of Borat, but fake guy. So it just says some guy wearing a suit and tie holding up his hands. You can tell it's fake because it has the British flag there, and Borat is actually from Kazakhstan or something like that, right? So we know that this is fake. Anyway, this was computer vision. This is one of the most fun ones to see. Try this yourself as well. This is fun. You also have custom vision. So what's the difference? Computer vision interface is actually trained by Microsoft, works really well. With custom vision, this is different. So what you actually get is you have an interface, customvision.ai. You need to create the thing first, and then you click and go to customvision.ai. But basically, you upload a whole bunch of images. The example here is for cans of drinks and things like that. It could be something completely different. Let's say you have a conveyor belt in a factory or something, and you have food like apples or something like that. And then every time that there is an apple that looks bad compared to what you define in the training, if it looks bad, you can actually take a IoT arm and remove that bad apple, okay, because it doesn't pass inspection. So you can do something industrial with this one as well. This is actually something that you can deploy to an IoT device if you'd like, okay. This becomes very small in terms of size, but anyway, the idea here is that you upload a whole bunch of images. This is very simple, and then once you have all of the images, best way to do this is to actually remove the background, because a background here will actually show a lot of grids. You probably see a lot of grids in these images. I don't want to use the grids as part of the training. Those shouldn't be the part of the training. So if you remove the grids, that would be great, okay? But anyway, you detect a whole bunch of cans, and then you do a training, and then you can test it. You can do a quick test, and then you will actually have a button to deploy this into production. And then you can actually export as a model, as I mentioned, to IoT devices, to cell phones like iOS or Android. But in any case, once you do this, you'll actually detect just those images. Everything else is ignored, okay? All of the cans get detected, everything else gets ignored. So custom vision is actually very easy to use as well. It's you do machine learning, but you don't do machine learning. All you have to do is to upload images. So anyone can do it. You don't have to be in IT. Actually, the same with the other ones. You don't have to be in IT to do this. By the way, some of these actually exists in Power BI. So if you go to Power BI, you can actually have things, cognitive services. You have some for computer vision. Those are not very interesting in Power BI. I would say you can use it, but not interesting. But there's going to be one in language, which is text analytics, which in Power BI makes a lot of sense. But we'll get to that. Also with Power BI, you can use Azure Machine Learning integrated with it. If you use that, you have to have the premium tier. And Frank, please correct me if this has changed in the meantime. But yeah, I think you have to have the premium tier so far, right? But if you don't want to have the premium tier, which is expensive, you can still do an M bit of code in which you connect to the web service and get the things much cheaper. Okay, so either one, it's your decision. But if you are an end user, you'll probably have to do it like that. If you are a more powerful IoT, powerful IT user, in that case, you'll probably just have 3 lines of code and then a function that actually calls on these cognitive services directly, and it's cheaper, much cheaper. Anyway, you also have something called Forms Recognizer. Let me go here, and Forms Recognizer, 1 second. Actually, there was no demo for this, just a few examples. I cannot upload my own image in this one, sadly, okay? But let's say you have this. So you have some headers and some footers, okay? All of these will get detected here. So headers is bill to Contoso, so fax, invoice number, blah, blah, blah. And then down here, you actually have the bottom, which is tax rates, etc. Others equal to 0. Total due in 90 days. So this one is here. And then a total 2-1 something. So all of this is correct. But then you actually have a table. So the tables show up here. And you probably noticed that this is vertical. This makes a bit more sense because all of the items are of the same data type. So this actually makes sense, right? So all of the items, all of the descriptions, all of the quantity, and then you have discounts. So some of these discounts actually have dashes. So they consider these as empty cells, okay? By the way, this part here is still here, so plus sign. There's actually a dollar sign, but it doesn't count. So they detect this as doesn't count. And then price, etc. So you can actually see this from here. This is easy. Now let's try receipts. So one of these receipts, and this doesn't look good if you consider this, but then you can actually have the top of the receipts. You have an actual date, so you can see the date. You notice that the format is different here. Time, again, with 2 zeros in the end, and then 99, subtotal will be this one, etc. But you see the totals on top, so in the header, footer, whatever, but the line items actually say this in a separate logic, right? So you say quantity 1, Surface Pro, 999. By the way, there is some predefined templates. Let's call them templates for this. But you can also create your own where you detect the locations. So let's say you create a form so that people fill it in with crosses and things like that. You can actually detect very specific things. But feel free to try some of these. If you create this in cognitive services in Azure, this is actually very easy to do as well. I'll show you one example in a second. Anyway, you also have something called a video indexer. To show you this, I'll actually go to my different. So you can go to vi.microsoft.com, okay, and then you just say sign in. You can use your Microsoft account, personal Microsoft account, or your Office 365 account. Either one's okay. You can actually see this for free in samples, but if you want to upload, by default, you have something like a 1 hour video or 2 hours of video, I can't really remember, that's actually free. And then you start paying for this. This is the most expensive cognitive service, so please be careful. This only works in English as far as I can tell. I might be wrong and there might be other languages, but maybe 1 year ago, something like that, 2 years ago, I tried this with a Portuguese video of me actually speaking at a conference. And I can tell you that this was very informative. So they didn't understand anything I was saying, but...
Well, good morning, everyone.
Okay, so let me just remove the sounds because the sound is confusing, but you get the idea that there are actually people speaking there. This is like 3 hours, it's long video, all the way from here, all the way up to 3 hours somewhere here, okay? But I can tell you that I tried this with my own video. This was in Portuguese, but the voice itself did not get inserted into this timeline that you see here with all of the texts. So this wasn't good, but they were still able to detect phrases like SQL Server, like Microsoft and things like that. Those still got detected, okay? And that was important.
German works.
Sorry, can you repeat?
German works. If you
German works already?
Yes, if you have a video in German, then it works.
Okay, I didn't know this, so I haven't tried. I tried Portuguese some time ago, but I haven't tried since. But I need to review what languages are permitted. By the way, the important thing to take out of this is English works really well. Any other language, just check out the documentation and see if it's available or not. So there's an update for German. By the way, Frank, let me just say this, and this comes to the perfect example here. I was actually thinking about this before you interrupted. I remember being in a session from you about Power BI in Vienna, if I'm not mistaken, a long time ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. And you were actually delivering the session in German. And I was thinking, I was watching the session, and all you were saying was blah, 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 Power BI, blah, 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 mobile, blah, blah, blah. Okay, no offense, no offense. I didn't understand the session. It was not a problem because, you were doing demos and things like that. I was understanding the session. But from a point of view of cognitive services, if this is a language that Video Indexer doesn't understand, that will look something like that. So blah, 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 Microsoft, blah, 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 cognitive services. That would be the thing that you actually detect.
I had the same experience in Lisbon.
Anyway, yeah, this happens. It's really okay. Actually, some time ago, I was actually seeing a session from Antonius in Greece. I attended one of the user group meetings there remotely, and I actually arrived halfway, and Antonius said, "Oh, would you like to change? I will start speaking in English." No. Speaking Greek, I will understand it. And the demo was okay, so I didn't understand any word in Greek, but because you mentioned a few things, etc., and the demos were really nice, so I was able to understand, and yours as well, so these were easy to understand. Anyway, let's go back to this and check out what you can do with this video. So this is not going to be perfect, okay? Let me just say this, because this is 3 hours video, so each pixel here will actually correspond to like 5 minutes, so it's difficult to find. But if you jump into this, you'll actually find Scott Guthrie here. You will not find Scott Guthrie here. You'll find someone else. Here, you will find someone else as well. So you have the next guy. This is Kilu. So Kilu is actually here. You also have Scott Hanselman here somewhere. So if you go here, Scott will be here somewhere. Scott Wu, so this is Scott. So yeah, perfect. I actually found the guy. So this is okay. So if you need to find the person, this is the one. By the way, if you want to take all of your family videos and things like that and put them here, they will actually detect where your kids are in those places, etc. This is actually very efficient, but it will also be very expensive. So please be careful. Okay, there are some online things to do this. Price here is actually the most expensive cognitive service. So if you have like a terabyte of videos like I have, this will end up being very expensive. If you are hosting a session like Global Azure like this, you might actually put all of the videos here and then actually generate this kind of thing and have this in a website so that you can see if you want to search by topic. So let's say topics. These topics aren't very interesting, but then we'll see the keywords and the tags. So one of these will actually make sense for you. And in this case, you have cloud computing. Well, they talk about clouds sometimes, so I have no idea. Oh, this is actually a cloud, obviously. So Azure Container Service, it is a cloud, technically, right? So you are in the right place. You also have other things like, let's say, Azure Functions. So you can detect where Azure Functions are being talked about. Probably now, okay? And then you have a whole bunch of labels, and this is man. So man isn't very interesting, to be honest. Service Fabric, here you go. Probably functions just before or after. So you have Sky. Sky might be interesting. There's actually a cat and a dog and a fish as well. So anyway, Sky. Sky actually, oh yeah, all of this is Sky, so it makes no sense. Okay, sofa bed seems interesting. I never tried this one. Every time I do a demo, I try to find something different, and it can go terribly wrong. But anyway, let's. So this is actually a guy. Maybe there's a sofa here somewhere, something like that. There was actually a bed here, but I don't think that counts. Anyway. Window covering, park. There was actually a park here somewhere in, okay, so let's see this. There's actually a park. If you go and continue, there's actually a park. We actually don't have that much time to check all of this out because it's not going to be enough time for all of this. But yes, there is a dog here, flag, etc. So if you wait for the time that the video takes, you'll actually be able to find it. Okay, but anyway, you have locations, so you will be able to find locations like San Francisco is actually here. So you'll actually be able to find those locations. There was just a map before saying a certain city. There's also going to be people. There's going to be brands. Microsoft is probably the most obvious one, but there's going to be others, other brands. Oh, by the way, this is Florida now. Previous one was something else. Treasure Island Media. I don't know, something like that. Just a funny name for this. Anyway, this one will be emotion, so I'm not sure what this emotion is going to be, but angry will be this one. So maybe she has an angry face at some point in time. I'm not sure. And the computer detected something angry. Maybe it's in the voice. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in the voice. Anyway, you can also detect fear. Okay. So if you go to fear, and this one, she's actually looking down. There is a point in time where she looks up to the left and then down to the right. And I think, this is the thought that we have that Frank is going to give me in 5 minutes that says, oh, the session is running out or something like that. It's running out of time. So, oh, fear or something. So she actually has a look that looks like that. So give it a try. You'll actually find it. Anyway, you also have scenes for things which are also very interesting. And then you have the timeline in which if you click the play button, you'll actually see this in real time. So this actually adjusts. And this is what she's actually saying. So this actually adjusts. You can also go here and download the closed captions or all of the insights or anything, basically just get everything out and get the results out. So this is actually very easy to do. Okay. Anyway, this is Video Indexer. You can try this yourself. Remember, you can upload your own videos. Try this with a small video with multiple people. You'll actually be able to detect them. You might not be able to detect who they are if they are not famous, but if you put up a famous video, you will be able to detect that. So anyway, this is Vision. Okay, so we'll go back to Vision in a second. So what do you do with Vision? You probably remember this door. So when you try to open the door would go to the red button, the red things there, because the face of the person was not right. So you can use face detection to open the door. You can actually use license plate identification. You can use computer vision for that. You can detect obstacles. You can detect traffic signs and things like that. You can use Video Indexer for spying. You probably remember that this thing actually used something that they used some video to project to see things inside of a room. That would obviously be impossible, but this was a series. But anyway, Video Indexer can actually detect people and things like that for spying. And there was obviously more for cognitive services. We'll see that in a second. So anyway, you have speech to text, text to speech, okay? And these are obvious, but you also have speaker recognition. This is when I upload a sample of my voice. Frank does the same, some other people do the same. And then when you have some sound going around being detected, they will actually compare with the samples of speaker samples that you had before, and they will tell you who the person was. You actually get a value back, an ID back, and that ID, you will know who they are. You don't need to upload the name of the person, but you will detect who they are. Anyway, I just want to show you speech translation very quickly, okay? So I'll actually use a different microphone for this. So let's say source language can be Portuguese. KAT is not listed, sorry. KAT is actually not listed in the in this, but German is at some point in time. Okay, so let me try to speak to a different microphone. Olá a todos na Alemanha, bem-vindos à ação. Até já. So, Frank, what does it say in English?
Well, it says, hello, everyone in Germany is welcome to, well, I don't know the word for sonieren in English, which is to regenerate or something like this. So this really doesn't make so much sense.
I just said welcome to the session or something like that, but that's okay. Still, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's still okay. So you can try this for yourself. There's also something, I'm not going to try now, but there's also something called translator.microsoft.com, in which you go in here, you start a conversation using any of these authentications. Anyone is okay. But then once you do that, you start a conversation, let's say in English, and then anyone can have a link to join. This will take a bit of time, so we don't have that much time for this now. You have a link to join, so I can speak in English, speak or write in English, and I always get results in English. Someone else can be in German, someone else can be in Portuguese, and they all use their respective languages, and they can, this is like a universal translator. You see your own language and you talk, and this is free. Translator.microsoft.com, so feel free to give it a try. It's not the same as bing.com/translator. This is just for the texts, but this one is nice for you to do this online, so it's actually quite fun. Anyway, we have a few more cognitive services before we go. By the way, mentioning Bing, there's actually some Bing search APIs which used to be part of cognitive services. They aren't anymore. The only two I recommend, searching is not very interesting. You know that Google is actually much better. But for Bing translation, for translating things, Bing is much better than Google. Trust me on this. I did the Pepsi challenge in like 30 countries, and Bing is always much better than Google at translating, but not for searching images. Okay, so I have to say this. Anyway, Bing search APIs, you can go here and see all of the searching APIs and things like that. The only two I would recommend as part of integrating in your application is going to be autocomplete, in which it autocompletes the text for you, and also syntax corrections, right? A spell checker. Anyway, language, and we have limited time, so let's go for language. Is it okay to spend one or two extra minutes in the session? Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah, go on.
So translator, language understanding services, this is amazing. This is how you build bots, okay? So language understanding services, you actually start here, and you have two lamps, floor lamp and the table lamp. So if you say turn left lamp on, so you're actually turning this on, and you have something called an intent. An intent is like a verb or an action. So you turn this on, and then you have an entity which is like a parameter, and type is equal to light, and then you say entity is equal to left. So that means that this is the parameter that you are using. If you say turn all lights off, that just means that you don't have a parameter, it's everything. So this one is a special one that says all lights off. However, if you say turn the floor lamp to green, For instance, this will actually have two parameters or two entities. One is the floor light to specify the floor light. The other one is the green light, okay? I actually have a cognitive service here. So let's go to the Azure portal. I actually have a cognitive service here that we can try, okay? And what you actually do is you go to web app bots, okay? And then in the type of bot, just choose basic bot. This is the only bot that I created. So you go here, create. You need to fill all of the information, so names, etc., etc. Just make sure that the locations, all the locations are the same. This saves you money. But then in the bot template, just choose basic bot. This is the only thing that I did. All of the rest is just fill in the information, and then just go to the actual app bots, okay? And you can download the bot source code. This is the bot framework. You can download it. And this actually uses language understanding services or Q&A maker. And then you go here, test in web chats, okay? So basically you have here authorizing bots, and this takes just a second. By the way, you need to guarantee that third-party cookies are enabled and things like that. Sometimes this is blank because of that. So make sure it doesn't have anything to complain up here. Okay. Anyway, you can just say book a flight. Book a flight. This is for booking flights. Book a flight. Where do you want to fly? Book a flight to, let's say, Germany. This will probably not work. Oh yeah, it does. Germany. This is wrong. So sorry. Let's assume that we could restart. Let's ignore it. Where are you traveling from? Right here. I actually got that wrong. Sorry about that. When would you like to travel? I really like to say this yesterday. This is terrible, but it is a time, right? It is a time. Although it is yesterday, it is a valid time, but you need to validate that times in the past do not work, obviously, right? But the bot doesn't do that. So confirm, I have you traveling from somewhere to somewhere on the state. Is this correct? Yes. As soon as you say yes, the bot will actually connect to some web service to book you a flight. But you can also say book a flight from, wait a second, okay, to London tomorrow. Okay. Okay. They have limited things. I actually removed London to add Lisbon because they don't have it. But let's assume that this works. So book a flight from London to Paris tomorrow. Please confirm. So you have everything in one single sentence. So yes. Okay. So this works. So give this one a try. It's actually very nice to do. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to the remaining cognitive services. We have very little time, negative time at this moment. Q&A maker, some questions, some answers. You ask questions, frequently ask questions, you get some answers. The Q&A maker will actually analyze your question, find out in the questions and answers if this is anything close to the one you asked, and then give you that specific one. So this one is much simpler in terms of working. Text analytics is also the one I want to show you very quickly. So this you can actually upload the texts, and then the texts will show you some key phrases, some locations, things like that you take from this. You have sentiments. You can do sentiment in Power BI. This is actually very fun. I use that a lot to do Twitter sentiments in Power BI. But then most of the sentences are positive. One is neutral, but then the 7 is the only complaint I have is the food didn't come fast enough. This is negative. Highly recommended it's positive. So in the end, you get an average of 86%. This is okay, no problem in the overall texts. You also have some personal information like names of people, names of places, etc. And you also have the personal identifiable information in which they detect things that can be sensitive if they get published, like email addresses, phone numbers, etc. And then when you go to JSON format, you can actually find where these things are. So New York City is actually on location 49, character 49, 3 characters in total. If you need to blank this out for privacy reasons, you just run one line of code that blanks this out from character 49 for 3 of length. So this is actually very easy to do. Okay, you can do more. You can detect language. You can do a whole bunch more things. But this is just a very quick demo on text analytics. Finally, you have immersive reader. So this is great for people who have disabilities or for young kids actually learning to read and write. I have a niece who's this right age, so you can actually do this and detect different types, so verbs, nouns, etc. And if you hover on top, you can actually detect what these things actually mean with images and things like that. You can actually see how you can actually spell them. I know that this is available in English. I'm not sure if this is available in other languages. No idea. But in any case, just read the documentation. They will tell you what kind of languages are supported. And this is great for integrating this in your applications. It will actually support people with disabilities. This is very important. Okay. By the way, all of these can help people with disabilities. Blind people can actually take advantage of all of these cognitive services. Okay. You have devices that actually detect things in front of you and give you the description for that. Anyway, just to quickly go for the last ones. So anomaly detection, this actually detects you upload a whole bunch of values, and every time that there's an anomaly that gets detected, this is a kind of a raw service that doesn't require you to do machine learning, but you just send, this is a web service, this is a managed web service. Very quickly you detect anomalies. There is going to be another service which is based on this one, which is the Metrics Advisor. It actually has time series insights and things like that, so a lot more details into this. Uses the anomaly detection option so that you can detect problems here, you can predict things. So Metrics Advisor is a lot more things. And finally, you have Content Moderator. So remember that image of the naked Rembrandt that I've shown you. You can actually detect that if that has that kind of content. It can also detect if you have texts with profanity, so some bad words and things like that, but also personal identifiable information. And you can use this in your applications, let's say a blog or a website, or even integrate that with Facebook so that you can detect if someone is commenting with something that you don't want to allow, and then actually remove it. And finally, Personalizer is something that uses machine learning internally to actually give you a nicer experience. So let's imagine you have YouTube, and YouTube actually has those videos on the right that they select for you. But then again, when you go to certain places, they actually say recommended for you. So those kind of things will be the things that you can personalize, but to an extreme more level. So have a look at that, which is actually quite fun. Anyway, to finish the session, so this is almost, we're running out of time. So things like speech to text, text to speech, and the web app bot are things that you can use. The bot you can use even on IoT devices. So you can integrate language understanding services, the bot framework, etc., in an IoT device to actually run it in an actual car. Q&A Maker is great for frequently asked questions, not very intelligent. Language understanding services actually detects better speech, but Q&A Maker is very good for predefined questions. Text analytics for analyzing if people are happy, if they are angry or something like that. Text analytics is great for that, but also to detect individual names of places, etc. Finally, Translator, great for obvious reasons. And then you have anomaly detection, Metrics Advisor to detect the problems in the car. You know, engine going gets 200 degrees temperature, that could be terrible. And then finally, you can use the personalizer to get a better experience. So basically, this is my session. Anyway, available for questions and answers if anyone has them, no worries. Okay, if not, let me just eject myself. So I actually went online to actually find these things. And this is one of the second most fun feature in the car, which is to eject people they don't like. One of them is to jump, the other one is to eject. So anyway, vielen danke, thank you very much to everyone watching. Thank you very much for the organizers for organizing this. I know that this is going to be the first session, so I really hope that everyone enjoys this event today. By the way, you're going to see a lot of sessions today for all of the events. I'm not sure if some of them will be in German, some of them will be in English, but let me just say that for tomorrow, there's going to be a whole bunch of other events all over the world as well, so it doesn't need to stop today. So if you are happy with everything today, just join tomorrow in some other event around the world and also see other things in different languages. Tomorrow I'm doing one in Bulgaria, a lot of sessions, 1 or 2 in Bulgarian as well. I'm not doing Bulgarian, by the way. But feel free to join any other session. This will be fun. Anyway, feel free to reach out and have fun using Azure, okay? So thank you guys. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Timur.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Happy
much
to be
for
here.
this very, very good session. Was very fun, very fun to watch. Was really great. Thank you very much, André.
Okay, really happy to be here. Anyway, have fun, and we'll talk soon. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we'll
I will
talk
be
soon.
watching.
Bye.
I will be watching some of the sessions, and right now, session's over.
Okay.
All right.
André.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you all. See you next time.
Yeah. Next
See ya.
time. Bye.